New details regarding R. Kelly. Metro Atlanta families say the disgraced singer should face charges here after being found guilty of sex trafficking and racketeering in Brooklyn, New York. Witnesses described Kelly locking them in rooms, forcing them to perform sex acts, even controlling what they could eat.
For years, Mr. Kelly believed that his power and fame could defy the justice system and allow him to continue his abuse.
The singer will be sentenced next May. He still faces a federal trial in Chicago.
Now, the investigation into R. Kelly spans decades, and during the trial, several of his victims shared their horrifying survival stories.
We want to bring in an expert on this case. Attorney Gerald Griggs is joining us now live via Zoom. And Mr. Griggs, we thank you for your time. We know that you represent some of the victims in this case. How are they doing, and what's next for them?
Well, they are relieved, but yet focused on getting justice. They are happy with the decision that was made yesterday, but they are focused on continuing the path to justice, and they're demanding more accountability from Robert Sylvester Kelly.
Now, a big question a lot of people are asking, especially in regards to the people you represent, what type of time could R. Kelly face at his sentencing in May?
Well, for the convictions that occurred yesterday, he can face between 10 years in prison to a life sentence. And so many of the accusers that I represent and others are demanding a maximum sentence, and the judge has set that court date for May of next year.
There are reports that R. Kelly was not expecting this verdict. Can he appeal the verdict? And while he's in that process, if he chooses to do that, as for the victims, especially the ones you represent, can they sue him now in civil court?
Well, there already currently are lawsuits against Mr. Kelly, and we are evaluating all of our legal options. Yes, he can appeal. Currently, he's not been granted an appeal bond, nor has his attorneys filed an appeal, but he does have the option to appeal, but he would still be held for the other cases that he does not have a bond on.
Did you watch the case closely? Did you watch his demeanor? How was he when he heard the verdict? Was it shock, or was R. Kelly expecting this? He's faced a lot of accusations, all of which he vehemently denies, and it appears that he still has more cases that could be possibly launched against him.
That's correct. And no, I was not in the courtroom because of the COVID regulations. Individuals who were not a part of his legal team or the jurors were not allowed. So media and other individuals were not allowed into the courtroom. I did get reports that he dropped his head and he looked shocked when the verdict was read. And I don't know why he would be shocked. The evidence was quite clear that they proved beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty, but I don't think he was expecting it.
Mr. Griggs, last question. I've got one for you here. Talk to me about how the people you represent, the women you represent, are feeling now after these convictions came down. What's going through their heads?
They feel like their voices were heard. The families that I represent feel like their voices were heard, and they now have even greater resolve to continue to push forward to justice and to make sure that full accountability is had in this case.
What is accountability, and what's justice for those clients that you represent? Is this money? R. Kelly claims that he has nothing.
Well, many of them wanted a criminal conviction and they wanted maximum time. So justice means him being sentenced and serving a substantial amount of time in jail is what they're asking for.
Attorney Gerald Griggs, we certainly appreciate your time and your insight, and please send our best to those clients that you represent. This had to be a very difficult season for them.
It was, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome.